Thanks for tuning in. This is another segment of Zarzaur Law TV. Many times we do these segments, even though it's a law firm and we're here obviously to practice law, personal injury work specifically. Many times we do these just as a community service. Some of these topics obviously don't have a lot to do with the practice of law. The topic today on this particular segment is how to make sure if you have a suspicious mole or skin discoloration, whether or not it's skin cancer or something that needs to be checked out. Since we have Dr. Malone, who's an internal medicine physician, board certified and recertified at least once or twice now. Is it once? Once time. And how often do you have to do that?
Every 10 years.
Every 10 years. He just got recertified. So anyway, he's a board certified internal medicine physician. As part of obviously the practice of internal medicine, they have to be versed in spotting things like suspicious moles. From a legal standpoint, obviously, the only time liability is an issue is if somebody, a physician like him or a dermatologist, were to miss something that a reasonable and prudent physician would have alerted somebody to. And on top of that, the failure to notice it has caused the person to be in a lot worse condition than they would have been. So from a legal standpoint, that's really the only tie into this. But I was going to let Dr. Malone talk to you a little bit about what to look for in a suspicious mole and whether to go see a doctor or not.
This is a good time of the year to do it because the season's over, things are slowing down, you're not spending as much time in the sun. Maybe if you had a tan, it goes away and you start to notice, oh wow, there is something different going on. Another thing is we're looking toward the end of the year. Some people try to tie up some loose ends with all their own bookkeeping or housekeeping for themselves, or at the start of the new year even. So it's a time that a lot of people go and see their care provider. So that's the time when you should say, is there anything else I need to get checked out while I'm there? So that said, there is no screening for melanoma that is covered, paid for, recommended for the general population. It's been studied top to bottom, and right now there's no standard, hey, everybody needs to get screened at this age or whatever. It's more specific to your risks, meaning have you had a risk, it's some exposure, do you have a strong family history of melanoma, have you had melanoma yourself or other lesions that have been concerning in the past. So those are the things that, if you tell a care provider, hey, this is what's going on with me in the past, they say, oh, we need to look at you every time you come in. So then it applies. But if it's just, hey, I have a pulse, you don't necessarily get checked out. As far as concerning lesions that you need to be aware of and bring to the awareness of your care provider, it's any mole that has changed. And the standard that they try to teach people that's very easy to remember is ABCD. If it looks asymmetric, meaning that it has two different colors, one on one side, one on the other, no matter the size of it, that's the asymmetry part of it. And then B is border, and so if it's not just perfectly round, but if it's more jagged on the sides, irregular border, that's also something that's concerning. C is color, so if it's just a one uniform color and it's been like that forever and it hasn't changed at all, not that concerning. If now all of a sudden there's some purples or some blacks or some darker versions of brown in there, concerning. And then the last one is D, which is diameter. If it's greater than 6 millimeters, which you're not going to be able to measure that necessarily, but if to your eye you say, wow, it's getting bigger, again, that'd be something concerning. Men generally have these more on their back when they do show up, speaking as far as the population, so you're not going to see them on your own. So you have to rely on a significant other, someone who sees you routinely to say, oh, wow, what is that on your back? So you're not going to also see it on your own, so that's when you rely on a care provider to keep up on this for you. Women will be more front, torso, and thighs, and women are generally more particular in spotting that, so they're going to hopefully see this sooner than later if it does apply. As far as how to deal with this year in and year out, initially you depend upon your care provider to say, yeah, you need to see a skin specialist, we need to take a sample of this, a biopsy, and see what the tissue looks like. More times than not, hopefully it's benign or nothing of concern, and then we'll see you back in a year. And at that point, you rely on your physician to say, has it changed? And a lot of times they'll document this with some measurements in the chart. Sometimes there'll be even be photographs, so that from year to year you have an objective measure. Because you're going to go in there a year later and say, oh yeah, I think it's the same, doc, and maybe it's not. Or, hey doc, it's changed a whole lot, and the doctor says, no, it hasn't. It's the same exact measurement. we have a photograph of it, whatever. So ABCD is the biggest thing you can take home here, and it's not always at the end of the year. So just as I said, there's no screening, but there's no rules either that you can only go in once a year. So if it changes 6 months into the year and you went to your doctor and there's been a significant change, call your doctor back and say, hey, this thing has now ulcerated, or it's raised now, it hurts, it itches, things like that.
Well, that's interesting. So the ABCDs of mole inspection or skin discoloration is something that you should be aware of. If you have any questions about this or any liability associated with some physician missing a diagnosis of a skin cancer, you can find us on the web at zarzaurlaw.com, or you can call us at 855-HIRE-JOE or locally 850-444-9299. Thank you.